Alright guys, today we're going to be going over some interesting pieces of information that I recently came across. The first has to do with Remedy Games and PlayStation potentially partnering together, whether that's just to work on an exclusive game or to potentially be acquired by Sony. It's very interesting. We're going to look into that, and we're going to definitely do some speculation there. The other piece of information is also a rumor, but it's really seeming like it's very likely happening internally at Microsoft anyway, and that is that the rumored Xbox Lockhart console, which was supposed to be the lower end, cheaper, more affordable version of the Xbox Scarlett console, or family of consoles, has essentially been canceled by Microsoft, which I think honestly is a very smart move for them to make if it turns out to be true. And one last thing I want to mention here before going any further, because I've been getting a lot of questions about this, is have I been playing Horizon Zero Dawn yet? When do I expect to be making a video on Horizon Zero Dawn? I will let you guys know that I have been playing it. I haven't had nearly as much time as I would like to be able to game lately, so that's why it's been taking so long. Life gets in the way sometimes. Other things take priority and whatnot. But I'm letting you know that I hope to have my, I guess we could say, impressions video, my first thoughts on the game up within the next day or two. So certainly look forward to that. Just thought I'd let you guys know. But talking about this whole Remedy thing here, let's go over this article. It says there's a strange story making the rounds that PlayStation may be partnering with Max Payne developer Remedy on a new game. It's worth noting that the platform holder has already been fairly pally with the Finnish studio since it signed marketing rights to upcoming third-person shooter Control, but some feel that the Alan Wake maker may be working on something new for Sony, perhaps even an exclusive game. The speculation started last month when Shuhei Yoshida traveled to Helsinki to visit both Remedy and Housemarque. While it could be put down to the affable executive simply being in the area, it's interesting that the Worldwide Studios president took the time to visit the studio, especially seeing as its upcoming title is being published by 505 Games. The plot has since thickened, however, with the Quantum Break creator also visiting both Naughty Dog and Insomniac Games in quick succession. Sony often encourages collaboration between the studios it's working with, and while this could be ultimately a redundant speculation, it'll be fascinating to see whether it stops off at any other PlayStation studios like Sony Santa Monica. So this is certainly interesting. I mean, maybe there's nothing to be taken from this, but I think there is something here. We have been hearing Sony's recent desire. They've went on record saying that they want to try to make an effort to either acquire or build new first-party studios. And anytime we talk about potential studios that Microsoft could try to acquire, Remedy Games is actually one that continually pops up because they are independent and they do seemingly like to make games that really align well with the type of games that Sony likes to have on offer. But something we also need to keep in mind is that Sony, I'm sure, doesn't see a need to go out and get a bunch of new studios that do the exact same thing that their current studios do. Although I would argue that, when it comes to Remedy Games, they've always had different unique aspects to their games that kind of sell them differently than some of Sony's more traditional games, I guess we could say. Looking at their game Control, it does, it's going to be a single player game and it's a third person action shooter, but it has a lot of unique elements to it that also look very interesting. So I don't know. I mean, maybe thinking of an acquisition is maybe taking it a little bit too far here. Remedy's been independent for a very long time, and it is hard to say if they have any desire to want to not be independent and be under the umbrella of Sony or a different publisher. But I think, they had a very close relationship for many years with Microsoft, and that seemingly fell apart. And so now it would make sense maybe that they want to develop a relationship with Sony, the other big publisher, especially since Sony seems to be, I just feel like a studio like Remedy and Sony, they would align really well together. But I think it's definitely interesting to look at this, and I think something will come of it. It's probably more likely, if I'm being honest here, a second-party relationship where Sony would like Remedy to develop an exclusive game for the PlayStation 5 going forward. because it was definitely interesting to see Shuhei Yoshida, meeting up with them kind of randomly, but we didn't really look too much into it. But especially now that I'm assuming it's Sam Lake and other people from Remedy are visiting some of PlayStation's worldwide studios like Insomniac and Naughty Dog, there's definitely some significance there, and it definitely points to something going on between Sony and Remedy Games. So to what that ends up being, we don't know. Again, this is all speculation. Maybe whatever they're trying to accomplish here, whether that's an exclusive game or a potential acquisition, it could fall apart and maybe nothing will come of this, but there's definitely something worth paying attention to here. So, if we get any more updates on it, or if anything else pops up that seems like it could fuel this idea of an acquisition or a new exclusive game, I will be sure to report it to you guys. But moving on from that, we are going to be talking about the Xbox Scarlett supposedly, family of consoles, and how Lockhart is apparently being, canceled. It says at E3 2019, Microsoft revealed Xbox Scarlett, their next-gen console powered by a custom AMD Zen 2 processor. For the most part, the announcement lined up with previous rumors about Microsoft's next-gen gaming machine, with one major exception. The company only revealed a single new console, while previous rumors stated that they were working on two. For those who haven't been keeping up with next-gen rumors, inside sources previously reported that Scarlett was the umbrella codename for all of Microsoft's next-gen Xbox projects, with the company actually working on a pair of machines. One, codenamed Anaconda, was said to be the powerful machine for enthusiasts, while the other, codenamed Lockhart, was designed to be a less expensive option for the mainstream gamer. Basically, Anaconda was the Xbox One X, and Lockhart was the Xbox One S. Well, according to Brad Sams at Thurrott, who leaked the Scarlett details to begin with, Microsoft has now narrowed its scope to a single next-gen console. Microsoft is now focusing on the more powerful Anaconda model, with Lockhart being shelved. According to Sams, the decision to focus on a single console was made because developers were having trouble developing for two SKUs. Many were opting to develop for Lockhart first, which resulted in games that weren't taking full advantage of Anaconda, which is something Microsoft doesn't want with the powerful PlayStation 5 in the wings. The new plan is to try to push more casual gamers towards Microsoft's upcoming xCloud streaming service. Of course, take all of this with a grain of salt for now. Although Xbox boss Phil Spencer has confirmed only one next-gen Xbox is currently in the works, he's quoted with saying, "Right now we're focused on Project Scarlett and what we showed on stage." So definitely some interesting reports coming out here about this Lockhart console that we've talked about for a while now, and it really, I believe it. I don't think that, Brad Sams loses any credibility here, or anybody who was talking about this, simply because it really does seem like something Microsoft was thinking about and pursuing, and, at the last minute, when they heard, well, I can't say at the last minute, because we are still a very, there's a lot of time between now and when these next generation consoles launch. So I guess what I should say is, once Microsoft heard that developers were kind of starting with Lockhart and then building their way up to Anaconda, and games were basically not going to be targeted for the more powerful console or built around it, they were just kind of going to be scaled up. Microsoft definitely said, you know what, this is a mistake. We're going to run into some serious issues if we do this. And honestly, I'm glad they did. I'm hard on Xbox, but I think that this is a smart thing of them to do, and I hope that they don't go back on it, because them trying to offer xCloud as the low-end solution is a smarter thing to do, honestly. Let whatever your console is going to be, let it compete with the PlayStation 5 directly, because not only will that be good for them, that's good for everybody. At first it may have sounded like it could have been a good idea to hit Sony low and then hit them high, maybe have like a Lockhart console that's like $350, and then have an Anaconda console that's like $550 or even $600, and maybe the PlayStation 5 sits somewhere in between at $500. Maybe that sounded smart at first, but I can tell you that it would not have been a smart thing to do if developers were targeting Lockhart as the main console that they were developing for. That would have been an absolute disaster for Microsoft, and I'm just very glad to see that Phil Spencer seemingly has enough insight. I don't know how many times I'm going to say the word seemingly. Apparently that's the word of the day for me. But he had enough insight to realize that this is not the smartest way to do this. And so essentially what this does, at least for me, is confirm that both Sony and Microsoft are going to be taking the traditional route when it comes to their next-gen consoles, and they're going to offer a single but very powerful SKU that developers can focus on. And I think this is good because it does mean, that we don't have to worry about the next generation Xbox if it is like less powerful, holding back the PlayStation 5, because what it seems like to me is every sign is pointing to Xbox Scarlett and the PlayStation 5 being very, 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 very similar in terms of what they're going to offer in power, and whatever difference there's going to be will be very minute, and it won't actually impact game development. To whereas if they decided to do this move with Lockhart, if developers were choosing to build their games around Lockhart, the PlayStation 5 potentially could have suffered from that, and so would have the more powerful Xbox. So honestly, I think this is good news, and I have to say that if this is all true, of course we won't know because it's all happening behind the scenes. We're just hearing it from rumors and insiders. But if it's true, I think Microsoft is certainly making the right move and the smart move here, and I'm glad to hear that. So hopefully this means going forward we don't have to worry about a lower end machine being targeted. We do have to understand though that a lot of games are still going to be developed for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and so for a while in the beginning I certainly see some games being held back. We're not going to see the full potential of these new machines fully achieved, but at least we don't have to worry about that being a problem much later into next generation, if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about this stuff down below. What do you think about Remedy Games and PlayStation potentially partnering for an exclusive or an acquisition? Do you think we're just looking into it too much, or do you think that there's actually something here that we can hope to learn about maybe by the end of the year? And what do you think about Xbox Lockhart apparently being canceled and shelved, and Microsoft's just going to focus on a single SKU? Leave your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or you found it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon as well. You can be notified anytime I upload a new video. And feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.